Thank you all so much for joining us today and tonight, depending on where you are in the world, for the virtual launch of Easy Tiger, a multimedia book by Evan Nicholls, where he blends tiny poems and minimalistic collages with immersive, tender, and often hilarious results. The book is out now with Future Tense Books. I will put it in the chat very soon. You can grab it directly on their website or via Asterism Books. I'm thrilled to be hosting this reading with five of my favorite writers across 3 countries and 4 time zones. Evan and I have been sharing poems back and forth since 2019. I was lucky enough to blurb his first book, Holy Smokes, out with Ghost City Press in 2021, and then see early drafts and remnants of Easy Tiger over the last few years. Finally, the summer of 2025, this beautiful book is out in the world. Applause all around. Evan will be closing out this reading, but first we'll get to hear from 4 other authors, all of whom provided generous blurbs for Easy Tiger. As I often do with my hosted readings, I'll be providing erasure bios for every writer, pulling from their online bios and removing most of the words to create a new bio much more brief and absurd. All of the readers today have books out. You can check their websites. You can grab their books. I don't need to tell you all of their awards. Instead, I would like to offer up strange erasure bios to kind of keep things moving. So first up, we have Canadian novelist, poet, musician, and visual artist Gary Barwin, who said of Evan's book, quote, "This book has all the feels of a Pope-mobile driven by the moon," end quote. I'm so glad to have Gary kicking things off tonight. Please read his poems, please buy his novels, and here is Gary's erasure bio. Gary Barwin is a haunted cowboy. This Canadian pirate was once a governor, then a bank. He lives. Take it away, Gary.
It's so exhilarating to think about being a bank. Wow. Um, I'm really super delighted to be here. I really love Evan's book, and I'm so glad to be joining some of my favorite writers too. So this is really tremendous. Thank you. So, and I'm joining you from Hamilton, Ontario, the 51st state of the Union, according to some. So I'd like to read you the first piece. I'd like, I'm a Swiftie. I'm a Jonathan Swiftie. So that maybe sets this poem up. Babies. There is war, and so I plant babies. The babies grow slowly, but eventually burst from the ground. Why grow babies when there is a war? Everyone asks. But soon everywhere is filled with babies or baby-colored light, and there's no room for war. A soldier tries to lift a gun, but a baby is in the way. A tank tries to enter the city, but there are babies in the way. It rains, but the rain falls between the babies and only falls on the soldiers. It dissolves their uniforms, and the soldiers become baby juice, which runs through the streets and into the ocean. When winter comes, the baby juice freezes, and we all skate on it. The baby juice is a story, a lie, and my sister spins and spins and spins on its slippery surface. But the babies are true. The babies stand and leap and leave shadows all over forever. The first time someone said a word, no one knew it was a word. The first time someone died, everyone knew it wasn't the first time. And this one, for everyone's edification, has a moral. Just so in case you think this literature thing wasn't helpful and that you couldn't go out into the world and preach, here's your opportunity. Whale. Whale was balding. He was embarrassed around the other whales, so he hung out on the surface of the ocean, spouting sadly. Bird saw that whale was sad, and so he flew between sun and whale and covered whale's bald spot with his shadow. Whale had never been so happy. Then military airplane flew into bird, and bird was turned into feathers. Later, military airplane bombed a town, but whale never found out, and so he remained happy until the end of days. Moral, wear a hat and support journalists. So for this next piece, I took all of the titles in Evan's book, and this is the opposite of erasure. I stuck them all together into one long poem or one bigger poem. And here it is. Easy Tiger titles. The unwritten rule of your cock, your warlands, your emu night, your little inferno, your tiny Tim, your lair of the dog that bit you. is that there is an arrow on fire in your troubled heart, your red hat, and I'm an armed man. The world is getting worse. 1,000 times yes. It's a ballet of vipers, and we've been eaten by tigers. The spleens smell the blood in the water, flesh-colored fecal matter spotted under a heavy gun. I'm sworn enemies with the many hands of history, buffed to look like an albatross making flight work of the Pope's boot on the shark's gun-shy smile, a parlor trick that leaves a sexy corpse holding the egret. What have you, guns a-blazing, a ruptured night in an old-fashioned book where the sometimes moon is a worried gun in a sky shot like a sore ass with the bullet holes of stars. Purelator, hellulator, alligator, same, same. A gun to the head. It's no trouble. A sudden set of stairs where Father Christmas shoots that son of a gun Chekhov with his own family's smile. Ding, ding, ding. What a shot. It's wonderful. I used my tiny crossbow to fire at your tiny hothead heart. Here's why. I'm just a regular knight, and I've helped the war effort with my amusement tax, my gun for fire, my pleased with the results volumes of poetry. Oh, my head canoe was up a brain creek without a sink to stand in, and we started on the wrong foot. We were 2 seats to the wind, holding court with the family gun, Frenching with a giant fish by the buoy, and I had a squadron of perceived slights, an eagle of obligations, the longest sausage at the airplane plant. But sure as a gun, I wasn't married to the job, or even Barb. Wow, the service here. Beginning with snakes, a little song in the tooth, back from the war. I wasn't just broke, I was fancy broke. And good or bad, I stand the cop by the name of Merlin, who I hoped would put his gun down or eat it posthumously, like King Arthur pulling blanks from the stone. I'm not just scared to fall, I'm scared to fall asleep. It's easy to be a tiger if you jump the gun. You're on the ledge of a 110-story building, and you give the sun control. Right, 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 right. There was never a horse, but the horse thief rides anyway. So that was so fun. It's such great titles. So it's lovely to do that. Um, okay, and Ben, I saw that you had I guess it was one of Kiik's, an extract from a novel of his that about hair. So I thought I like to answer you. You post these online prompts, so I like to make stuff out of the prompts. But I had a story about a fabulous hair, so I thought I would read it. I couldn't resist the opportunity. Um, I'm a hair aficionado. Um, each hair is equal. Each hair is entitled to the same rights, privileges, and caresses by fingers and the wind as every other hair, his father had said. And so he would honor his father. His hair would not be the uneven and unfair coiffure of the past. It would be new hair, long, equal, and proud. The other kids did not understand. They carried him to the woods in a cardboard box and buried him beside an old sofa. On Monday, in darkness, he imagined the innumerable grassland of his scalp's savanna. On Tuesday, a vast prehistoric fern rising from the verdant forest floor of his organically vibrant head. Wednesday, prize wheat on the trackless blonde prairie of his pink pate. By Thursday, he knew that this was another impossible dream. One of his hairs was different. It grew faster than the others. It was magnificent. Sunday night, it broke the earth's surface, and he emerged from his paper tomb. He went straight home and stayed there. He could not leave, for though he had had an extensive style and trim, a short back and sides, a buzz, a perm, a treatment, the one hair again became huge and snaked through the rooms of his house like the black power cords of the many morning talk show film crews who visited him, freakishly imprisoned within his small and now rather unkempt bedroom. For as it had grown, the fame of this single marvelous hair had grown also. The crowds surrounded his house, congregated in his yard, disturbed the neighbors, searching for haircuts, for product, for discarded and possibly unrecognized remarkable hairs. The people came from throughout the land, from over the seas, from salons with blue comb-over desterilizer water and scented brushes. His hair grew until it was an antenna extending around the world in its normal to oily embrace, Children played beside the hare. They held sections and climbed and played jump rope. One a daisy, two a daisy, let's step in. But the hare divided villages. In the midst of migration, mistook it for an oil pipeline, changed their route, and died. His father would not be proud. And though his hair had become a symbol of the earth's pugnacious fertility, it had also become a security fence between nations. The Nobel Prize Committee awarded his hair the Peace Prize, only so that they could disgrace the hair by taking it back. Generals met in secret to discuss plans to develop electrolysis from space, but still the hair grew. The children who had buried him talked to each other from the computers in their rooms. They schemed. Something had to be done. His hair now reached beyond the earth and was as a comb over for Jupiter. What would happen, they demanded, if the hair curled and began to crowd out the sun? We need the hair, he told them. The hair is everything, good and evil, memory and prediction. It is the spirit of animals lined up one after the other as if waiting for a movie. The drainpipe of space spiked bright with stars. It is 100 deaths descending the playland slide, dark robes fluttering, their shoeless feet pulled up close, the howling throat of a toddler-minded man remembering spring. We need the long hair, he said. It is the ever-growing black stem of a daisy sent from the future to remind us who we are and who we might be. We are equal, he said, but only with ourselves and our futures. The hair is a long finger, and it is pointing at us. The children went into their backyards and looked toward heaven. Satellites moved across the sky, dodging the giant hair. Wind from over the fence tousled the children's bangs. We believe you, they said. We love you. Thanks very much.
That was so great, Gary. I feel like you should be a narrator for every audiobook ever. That was awesome. So enjoyable. And what a great way to kick things off. This was awesome. Next up, we have poet and novelist. Oh, before I do that, I grabbed everyone's books. I forgot to hold them up. This will go on YouTube. Grab Gary's books. This is the collected, selected new poems. And now, next up, we have poet and novelist Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi. I will hold up his two books as well, showing those for the world. Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi, whose debut collection Disintegration Made Plain and Easy was released last month through Pajama Press, a press that I launched alongside Kiik's book. We're just doing 1 or 2 books a year to not get overwhelmed, and this is the only one this year. Check it out. This is my 3rd time making an erasure bio for Kiik, so let's see how this one sounds, a little bit trickier. Kiik Araki-Kawaguchi is a record of hospital lights. He eats water, then crawls inside of the ghosts. Take it away, Kiik.
Thank you for that great erasure bio. Man, hard to read after Gary. Hard to read after Ben too. But I'm honored to be reading with these other poets today. Congratulations, Evan, on the phenomenal and gorgeous new book. And thank you, Ben, for bringing us together. For connecting so many people across time and space and folks who love poetry, literature, visual art. Okay, it's called Why Are Pigs Delicious? Because there were no people in the old years behind 9 seas. There were only pigs and one man-witch. The pigs were pretty and more delicate than the most Japanese peony. The man-witch wanted to marry them all and kiss them all firmly, one after the other, at a ceremony. Marry me, he pleaded. No, the pigs replied, thanks, but no thanks. We do not believe in the polygamy of men. But I cannot have just one, said the man-witch. I must kiss you all in my favorite way, the kiss of the open mouth. But the pigs shook their no-no heads. You have cursed me, said the man-witch. You have planted a desire in me, one that cannot be realized or forgotten, said the man-witch, pulling a small wand from his trousers. This is the curse I give. I will make your sweet flesh the tastiest cake of the land, and I will give birth to a creature. It will eat you in 10,000 ways with 10,000 spicy sauces. Ah, this will be an awful creature, said the man witch. It won't find you attractive at all. It eats without regard for survival or growth. It eats to escape from its feelings. The worst is its loneliness, and it is always lonely. So this is the origin. This is called Some of Your Poems Are Sexy. Some of your poems are sexy, like the one about the sea lion who enjoys sex with only one other sea lion who wears the barnacles on her face. And all day he roamed the beach to locate her, asking, how can every sea lion be looking and smelling exactly so fucking similar? The poem is sexy because of love, I guess, because love means having sex with the many, but enjoying it with only your one. Or does love mean forcing yourself to find your one, though you might enjoy sex with many others? The point is the sea lion loved, so he roamed for her upon the beach, and he came with a salmon in his mouth, one or two salmons of love, and a little tangle of kelp, and a poky sea urchin he rolled over to her using his nose, which symbolized he would try anything to please her, even butt stuff he didn't come outright and say was on his menu. Maybe this is why your poem was so sexy. Your first menu was of love and salmons, and your second menu, your secret menu, was the part of you that was infinite. Okay. This is this is called Columbus Day. So necrophilia, is it really that bad? The science is inconclusive. My doctor says only on Christmas and your birthday. And actually, I like doing Columbus Day too. Taco Tuesday too. My nutritionist agrees the practice is like extra strength probiotic yogurt. Sure, I am bound to run into some diarrhea and canker sores. Who hugs and caresses a stinky dead man wench, both of you naked, no birth control in either of your butts, and proclaim surely I'll not catch a night or two of diarrhea and itchy black widow bites? I guess my weakness is for smells that are so mortifying, a living thing cannot possibly manufacture them, and still awaken the next morning. So the one I like is a humiliating smell, except he is dead, so isn't that beyond embarrassment? This had a bit of a British vibe to it, the wenches at all. Okay. I'll read just one more and then I'll read my favorite of Evan's poems from his new book. And this one is like if you've ever gotten advice from like a parent or a guardian, and at the time you didn't really hear it, but then you thought about it years later, and you were like, wow, what was that advice? It was really my parents revealing a sort of like dark spot on their soul or something. And that's kind of what this poem is. It's called Sugar Plum Fairy. Mama says the only way to get rid of an enemy is to make them your friend, or murder them and cut them up into little pieces and take your Tupperwares of pieces onto the boat at 2 a.m. and feed the pieces to tiger sharks while singing songs of how sticky, how strangely warm the blood of your enemy feels. Lo, he seems so big, but now he seems small, almost childish, almost 6 children, sloshing in all the Tupperwares. Nice price at Winco. And did you know, my darling, a tiger shark will eat from your hand if you sing to him, my darling? And you can even sort of pat a shark's head there. Sweet little plum. Tricky thing about friendship. It can last a long time, too long. So many days you begin to obsess about the good times when your enemy was there and you were here, planning for him to leap like confetti from the wood chipper, or shish kebabi upon this picket fencey. I mean, How could you not think this when you were on your boat together and he is slapping your back and laughing with his stupid mouth full of sandwiches you paid for? And if you already paid for the tights you like to wear when you dance the great murder dance of the 2 a.m. Shark Princess. Okay, and I'm going to end with reading it's one of my favorite pieces in Easy Tiger. It's called Little Inferno. It's kind of near the end of the book. Really wonderful one. And it goes like this. Like magic, the magician pulled a fire out of his hat. I'm a little inferno, said the brightest thing on earth. Anyhow, congrats, Evan. Thank you for listening.
That was so good, Kiik. Thank you so much for reading and for continuing the weirdness throughout this reading series. I feel like everybody has a nice blend of strangeness and whimsy and humor. It all has, yeah, been really nice to hear. Awesome. Next up, joining us in the future from Edinburgh, we have poet, editor, and visual artist Vik Shirley, who said this of Evan's book: "This is the world you enter at your own gleeful peril." Her newest collection, Some Deer, is out now through Broken Sleep Books. And together, along with Marcus Silcock, who I think is in the chat, we co-edit Mercurius Magazine's Surreal Absurd Sampler series. I meant to hold up the books. Some Deer is in the other room. I'm just realizing I don't have that one. Vik's books for the YouTube, get them all, check them out. I'll put the link in the chat right after I finish with Vik's erasure bio. Vik Shirley is a Bristol Polaroid. Her postcards of dreaming are grotesque and European and blue. Take it away, Vik.
Like it, like it. Thank you, Ben. It's my second time I've had a erasure collage poem bio from you. And yes, I'm looking forward to the next one already. Thank you. It's just always an honor to be doing things with you guys, and I was so happy to be asked to blurb Evan's book, which I absolutely love, and I was just going to read. Yeah, there was another bit of part. I'm going to start. So I'll start with one of Evan's from the book. And I'm still navigating this new phone, bear with. And I was going to read, there was another thing as well, another bit of his blurb that I was going to read. Okay, here we go. I think are we a reader down anyway? So if I'm flapping around with my phone, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do it now. Okay, right, I'm there. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. This was the excerpt. Yeah. Here in Evan's poems, there is a joyful refusal to become jaded, a relentless commitment to the weird and the strange, a breeziness as response to the world's nonsense from Nichols's candy poem dispenser. So that was another. The candy poems. And I'm going to read, I can't find my copy of the beautiful object that is Easy Tiger. The books are sort of taking over in my flat at the moment. I don't know, I'm sure you can all relate. There's times when you get organized and there's times when they just sort of grow, the piles are sort of growing and sort of taking over the whole flat. But I took a photograph, obviously I got the PDF in here, but I did take a photograph of some of my favorite poems. I'm going to stop. Sorry, I can't stop. Yeah, bring on. So this is my current favorite from Evan's book, 1,000 Times Yes. The smallnesses arrived, and everywhere we looked, freight ships and tennis rackets the size of thumbtacks. Thumbtacks the size of eons. Those made our feet kill. We even discovered herds of dwarf alpacas climbing over each other out of bins and taps and marching along handrails. We spun tiny yarns from their fleece. You could only keep so warm with so many diminutive gloves and hats. Yes, yes, we said, begging the needles to stop. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to link in to Gary and Kiik. I was just going to do a bunch of deer, but I'm going to do, because we've had hair, and we've had sort of grotesque pieces. I have got a poem which features hair and grotesque pieces. So I'm just going to do that from Grotesquerie for the Apocalypse and it is called Not in Kansas. Okay, keep an eye on time now. You step out into your back garden and find yourself in a mud wrestling ring with your opponent coming straight towards you. You start to shake a little. It turns out that this is your trademark. They call you Jemima the Jelly Harrison. You have waist-length, blonde permed hair. Your opponent has a mullet, enormous biceps, and a tan to die for. By the quantity of Frankie Says Relax t-shirts in the crowd, it's clearly the 1980s. This is always the era you'd hope to come back to, but fantasized more of a cocktail bar or top of the pops dance floor scenario. As you're trying to recall the wrestling moves that must have got you this far in the championship, a Mad Max-esque aircraft lands, its blades chopping you into pieces, scattering your limbs into the nearby wasteland. Suddenly, you aren't in the 1980s anymore. It's more like the 1930s. And at the bottom of your bloody legs and feet, now miles apart, are some ruby slippers. So there we go. It's your pieces, your hair. Okay. Very gently sipping red wine from a can here, which is very enjoyable. So I'm going to read some stuff from Some Dear now. And I think I'm just going to do, I'm just going to do a bunch. Nice fit to go alongside our Easy Tiger. Okay, I'm just going to launch in. I'm going to launch in. Okay. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to say something. So basically, I wrote these Dear poems. First of all, so my favorite cover of any poetry collection is Chelsea Minnis's. It's the one that Fence put out, which is I should have got it. I should have got it ready. Which is a combination one with a lovely light blue cover of It's Bad, Bad and Zirconia as one, and it's a lovely light blue color. And I think it might be Chelsea Minnis's sister who did the double dip. This is the deer. This is the double deer from the cover. So I've had the cover tattoo, the deer, the double doe from the cover. So anyway, I had that done in the January, a few years ago or a couple of years ago. I lose track. And then I went to AWP in Seattle, and I met Christopher Minter, who was in Syracuse, and there was a deer overpopulation problem. You know, there was just absolutely. So yeah, you're walking to work. Looks like a lamppost because they sort of camouflage it. And there's like two deer sort of leap from either side of the lamppost, and everything's quite surreal, and deery, quite deery. And anyway, it just obviously stayed with me. And I just came back from America, and I just sat and pretty much wrote this sequence. So I'm just going to read some of these now. Okay, another small sip of wine. Deer juice. Windscreens. Some deer ran onto a train track, which soon became an escalator, which soon became a descent to hell. There should be no deer in hell, said someone watching through a crystal ball-like device, but more modern and Scandinavian in design. It seemed to be some kind of administrative error which no one could undo. So they sent in a SWAT team, rescued the deer and brought them back into the world. But the deer weren't really deer afterwards, so affected were they by flashbacks and nightmares. Woe betide anyone who, with heated seats, who offered them a ride. Many windscreens were shattered in the Syracuse area. Tuxedo. Some deer lost their appetite and became fussy eaters. They would only eat oysters and would only drink brandy. Even then, it would all have to be served by a waiter wearing a tuxedo. The animal rights folk wanted to help. It was expensive and hard to get support given the lavish nature of the deer's requirements. So they sold the waiter experience to those keen to spend time with deer and in nature, and things ran along smoothly until the earth broke apart and swallowed all the waiters into its belly. Then the deer realised that they were being unreasonable, dropped the tuxedo requirements and allowed ordinary leisure wear clad people to serve them instead. Please follow the link at the end of this poem if you would like to give it a try. www.dearwaiterexperienceinleisurewear.org. Okay, I'll read Tears next. Okay. Tears. Some deer were chasing their tails. It was catching, and pretty soon all deer were chasing their tails. It started a trend, and humans began wearing fake deer tails and chasing their tails too. Chat shows stopped chatting and instead featured celebrities chasing their tails around the studio. It was kind of fun, but eventually everyone got dizzy and collapsed. Then some deer started crying, and all the humans started crying too. The chat shows became just people on the floor crying until everybody in the tears drowned. Like a nice upbeat ending. I think I've got just a couple more. I'm okay. Yeah, I've got 5. I think have I got 5 minutes? I could do a couple more. I think I can. Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you. Okay. Flying. Some deer began to fly. They would mostly fly at night. Some of them did this for a Lost Boys vampiric feeling, others for a Raymond Briggs snowman, more wholesome children's story vibe. An elite few were chasing a more highbrow Roy Anderson, Mark Chagall buzz. They found evidence on a cave wall that the ancestors had also flown and felt this validated their activity. Some more irreverent deer decided to go against the grain and get into swimming and deep sea diving instead. No cave drawings depicted that, they said to each other smugly in deer language. Sometimes when the swimming deer swam on their backs near the surface of the water, looking up at the night sky, they would see the flying deer if the flying deer were swooping low. In these moments, their eyes would lock and an upbeat, euphoric, electronic melody would reverberate, while an explosive torrent of metallic pink hearts and gold stars zips around the sky above them. This meant that they had completed level 1 and would progress to level 2 with no further delay. Just fairly short to finish. Okay. Priest. Some deer were blessed by a priest. This meant the deer could immediately carry out wrongdoings and they were covered. Other deer were jealous and went to get blessed also. Pretty soon, everyone was blessed and carrying out wrongdoings. They locked up the priest so that he would have to bless them whenever their blessing ran out. On average, it was about 25 days. The priest was having regrets, but being locked away kept him out of trouble at least. The conditions he was living in were better than the psychiatric ward at the prison from which he escaped, and the deer never really found out that he wasn't really a priest. And I'm just going to finish with gravel. Some deer walked over gravel. They enjoyed the sound so much that they walked over gravel again. They also enjoyed the sensation, so a portion of them decided that this is what they would like to dedicate the rest of their lives to now. Some other deer didn't get it, so splinter groups were formed. There was much criticism of the deer for liking such a dull activity, but others said that if it made them happy, why not? What was really creeping them out, the other deer said in deer language, was that the deer on the gravel had started smiling. Deer didn't smile, the other deer scowled. The scowling deer were then mocked by some local geese for their glowers. Consequently, they gave in and indulged in the gravel walking. Within hours, their faces became set in a kind of smirk. From their smirks, a grotesque pantomime began, which ran for forever. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it was so good, Vic. Always great hearing you read. And yeah, I think that was the second or third erasure bio that I've done for you, so it'll just get trickier and trickier each time. I put the link in the chat for Vic's book. Be sure to check it out. You can also find all of her work on the .com website that I shared as well. And next up, we have poet, short story writer, and screenwriter Mark Leidner, who just entered the chat, so right on time. He runs my very favorite Substack, which I will link in the chat right after I stop blabbering. And his out-of-print debut poetry book, Beauty Was the Case That They Gave Me, remains the only rare book that is missing from my collection. If anyone has a copy that isn't $100 on Abe Books, please let me know. Mark described Evan's poems in Easy Tiger as, quote, tiny anti-tall tales, and I agree. And here is Mark's erasure bio, pulling from his website. Mark Leidner is sci-fi comedy, a tyrant sword factory. He is the hollow angel. Take it away, Mark, if you are here.
I'm here. Can you hear me, Ben?
Perfect. Ooh, I love the backdrop too.
Well, thank you. My office is a disaster, so that's why that's there. Thank you for that introduction. I'm so sorry I'm so late. Today's my daughter's birthday. I misunderstood or I misread the times. They were very clear in all the emails, but my head was just like in a tornado. So I was running around doing groceries and I checked my phone while I was shopping and I was like, uh-oh, guys, we got to go back home now. So I'm glad to be here, and I really loved reading Evan's book, and it's an honor to be invited. So I'm going to start off with reading a poem from it. Has anyone already read World Getting Worse from the book? So this was one of my favorites. I don't really know why. I don't know. It feels, I don't mind poems that are about how bad things are. All right, and I love them, but I especially love them when they're very concise. So World Getting Worse, after Angelo Maniage. Nothing especially explains the circumstances. The blindfold is a blindfold. There's a large, screaming, severed ear. There's a worm with a wolf's head. Are you kidnapped? You are kidnapped. There is a sad criminal with a plantain to your goat. You had been minding your own business, eating a halibut donut on the park bench. Hey, now you're here. So that's from Evan's Easy Tiger. And I guess I'm holding it up, but you can't see it. It's kind of cool. I will read a couple poems of mine and then get back into listening mode and get to hear as much as I can of what's left. I will read. This poem is called Calves. The crisper drawers are the refrigerator's calves. The backsides of tires are the calves of cars. As high as the mist rises up from where the water plunges into the lagoon is how high the calves of a waterfall are. A campfire's calves are comparatively low, for there it's glowing embers. Why can't we see the Statue of Liberty's calves? Asking a question in a poem is the calves of wanting to know. My view of how many people are here is very compressed. I can't even tell, but there's so many. Thank you all for coming. Have you ever had a Zoom meeting? We've all had Zoom meetings before, but have you ever had one where you ran from the grocery store straight to your office and turned it on, and then you haven't looked at anything on your computer? You don't know what files are open. It's very disorienting. Usually it takes me like 20 minutes of just getting used to the waters to then I can comprehend how to do a Zoom, but it's kind of fun. There should be more of this, like last second extreme Zoom meetings. There's a lot about guns in Evan's book. There's a section at least that I greatly enjoyed. This is sort of this is a short poem also about guns. Funny. the way it's the Second Amendment. Oh my gosh. I recently rewrote this poem and now it doesn't, I think there's typos in it. I'm going to skip that one. This is a good lesson when you have a poem about guns and you open it up and you see that it's all different than what you thought. Just put it back down. Just like similar to a real gun. Don't even think about picking one up unless you're well trained. Okay. How I Met Your Mother. Driven by a desire to bring to an end her deep feelings of rage at history's injustices through a single act of cathartic violence, she reached into a barrel for a dagger. As I reached into the same barrel for a paintbrush, driven by my own desire to bring to an end my deep feelings of guilt at my own inconsequentiality with an act of artistic expression. But the only tool in the barrel which we both pulled out together was a brush and a blade attached at opposite ends to a single handle. This is a very old poem. Maybe one of the first poems I ever published, but it was never in any of my books. So in my next book, it's going to be in there. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that it never really had a place in the flow of any previous book. But the new book that will come out at some point, there's a place in it where the poem makes sense. Little children riding dogs. Oh my God, I love the idea of little children riding dogs so much. To think of how they dress them. I want to be a kid again and ride my dog to elementary school. Bucko, Rex, Socrates, Zeus, and dismount at the school and send the dog home. Also, I had this idea. If all the children rode their dogs to school, when they get there at 8:15, the children say sit and the dogs just sit there all day in the sun. The shadow of the flagpole, sundialing over their backs. While inside, the children learn until the bell rings again and they burst out of the school and mount their dogs and ride them home. And some of them get home at dusk. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever thought. This is a sort of a absurd poem, very short and absurd. It kind of vibes with Evan's poems. So I'll read this. Horse Christmas. We have a horse in the living room this year, and everyone's been taking turns oohing and awing at the Christmas tree, all lit up and ornamented, reflected in its enormous eye. Just maybe a couple more short ones. Been really into short poems lately. I feel like I used to only write extremely long, unpublishably long poems. Like they could go in a book if you convince someone that it would be in a good book, but you could almost never get any magazine to publish them. So I don't know why, but I'm trying to write short poems. I feel like after maybe I can do it now. It's a whole different ballgame. This is a short poem about made up of spoonerisms, which are when the two words have the first consonant sounds reversed. The reach of spoons, the speech of runes, milling the wind, willing the mind, full of norms, null of forms, a lurching song, a searching long siren, risen, the breather waking, the weather breaking, the air, when it wins, the where, when it ends. Last one. This last one is slightly longer, but it's still pretty short. It's only one page. This I wrote a long time ago in the 2015. If you remember, there was so many people running for president, and at that point, Trump was just like one random crazy dude in a big pool of Republicans, and there was also a big pool of Democrats, although Hillary was the favorite. But it was like wide open. It just seemed like there was so many presidential candidates. And I once even saw a sign in Atlanta. It was back, I wrote this poem came about when everybody was like heavily campaigning at the beginning of the primaries, and presidential signs all over the place. And I once saw a yard in Atlanta that had literally a sign for every Democrat and every Republican. And it was just all collaged as if they were like, hey man, I'm for everybody, anyone, they were, I think it was obviously very ironic and in retrospect depressing, but the time it was like that. It was like there's so many, and that seems, I feel like I've forgotten what that was like. This is called Presidential Frontrunners. Dog with a tail in its forehead. Skeleton washing its hands with soap. Hourglass with a Hitler mustache. Designer handbag in front of a waterfall. Pile of jackets on the bed with a law degree. An asp clasping a red, white, and blue pinwheel. Ziploc bag full of Bay Area fog. Jewelry box full of applesauce left in the fridge. Pitiless Olympian. Oligarch in flannel. Unpublished memoirist. Unrepentantly racist centaur. Lemming in a jetpack. Sasquatch in a straitjacket. Velociraptor in full British redcoat regalia. All khaki Grim Reaper. Widow who refuses to sing the national anthem. Widow who sings the national anthem over every other song. Hot air balloon with no one in it. Nixon mask stretched over a basketball. Beanbag chair with a javelin through it. Half melted ice sculpture of Lincoln. Red-eyed cyborg with a McCarthyism chip. Mill wheel stuck in a frozen creek. Restaurateur whose tapas are actually full meals. Surfer who claims to be able to control the waves. Pinocchio whose nose is a selfie stick. Barista who knows every customer's name. Eunuch for whom the minutes pass as hours. Smiley face drawn in crayon on a mirror. Ghostbuster who refuses to lift a finger. Thank you all very much for listening, and I greatly look forward to listening to the next person. Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Evan.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was great. Yeah, I think I would vote for the lemming in the jetpack, or one of the two widows. So many good lines on that one. Really grateful for you reading. And happy birthday to your daughter as well. Oh yeah, I meant to hold up the books. This will be on YouTube. Here's two of Mark's books. Trying to track down that first one. He has a book of short stories as well. Get all of them. And now, closing us out, the reason that we are all here, Evan Nicholls, the author of 2021's Holy Smokes, out with Ghost City Press, and 2025's Easy Tiger, out now with Future Tense Books. One of my favorite poets on this planet and one of my favorite people on this planet. I am thrilled to be celebrating the book launch with Evan, and here is Evan's erasure bio. Evan Nicholls is a Virginia tiger, a holy ghost. He is also a micro cat. Take it away, Evan.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. Thank like honestly, thank everybody for being here, especially our readers. I feel like a maniac right now. I've been like smiling and laughing so much. Like I don't know. I think I might. I think I'm blacked out right now. Just incredibly nervous and happy and excited. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Keith, Gary, Vic, Mark, Zach, who can't be here. Kevin, obviously, who I think is here in two different formats. I think. I think he's two of the little boxes on here, and obviously Ben. Thank you so much. You're one of my best pals. So it's so nice to feel so supported by I don't know, just folks. And also crazy. um, yeah, Ben, I appreciate you so much for just putting this together. I met Ben through Twitter, weirdly, and just like you know how you do, you just kind of launch a little message DM missile to see if the person's normal because you like their work, and then when they turn out to be normal, you're like, oh, that's sick. I'm normal too. Please, like, believe that's the truth. So it just worked out. And Evan Williams, who I don't think could be here today, but we have like a little Three Musketeers thing going. So Ben saw super early drafts of the book, as did Evan, and I just appreciate them so much. So yeah, without further ado, I will stop talking nervously and then read poems nervously. Um, yeah, so I figured, and Ben, please just like ping in the chat, not to ask of you much more, but ping in the chat if I'm coming close to overtime or whatever, so I can wrap up because I very fervishly just like tagged a bunch of poems I thought would be good to read maybe, and then like tried to figure out an order an hour before and all that. So yeah, so yeah, I figured I'd start with the titular poem, which is Easy Tiger of the book. Yeah, this is Easy Tiger. The tiger makes it all so easy, the way it sweeps the woman's house, packs a satsuma for her snack, accounts for the taxes, the way it ambushes need, how it steps the ache out of her back after work, shifting like a moon man or a dressage horse. This tiger is better people than most, the woman thinks. Still, it is shit at being a tiger. The way it obeys all rules of the IRS. Yeah, that's Easy Tiger. Um, a lot of the conceit of the poems in this book, and it very much got away from me as I started writing the book. Started like having fun and not following this conceit. But a lot of the poems take colloquialisms or turns of phrase or just a saying as a title, and they'll either take the saying straight or they'll twist like one word or like change a letter in the saying. And so I just kind of wanted to give an example of that. This is a poem called Many Hands Make Flight Work. It took all day to glue feathers to that horse, and thank God we did. So yeah, a lot of the poems are just kind of like short little things like that, like almost idiotic. I think a lot of these are, well, but I enjoyed writing them. And yeah, I feel like I'm talking so much. I really don't do well with attention at all. This one's called Holding Court, and it's on this page. The other thing about this book, if you're unfamiliar and you're just here randomly or just here for someone else, and I happen to be here at the end, I there it's a multimedia book. So there's poems, a lot of short poems, surreal absurd stuff, and then surreal absurd like minimalist collage. So this one lives on a page with some ducks that are wearing hats made of paper. But yeah, this is holding court. Literally holding a little noble court in my hand. There are small guards with small halberds. There is a beautiful woman in an ugly wig. I have a king throned on my finest nail. There is a bantam executioner, a man with a horn. Far off, a knight warring with an archer on the hill of my thumb. It was agreed upon. We are doing this for the good of the country, the king prays to me at night. I have easy access to a jester who is planning an assassination, who secretly believes in the pinky ring. Also, it is thundering and raining here, which I think is a good omen. I don't know. But if you hear rumbling, that is not my stomach. That is the sky. Uh, this one's called Tell Me. Once a week, the warlock cuts off a unicorn head with scissors. He then feeds the head a crisp yellow pear. The heads always talk after, usually repeating a useless bird fact. The warlock's financier, who's supplying the unicorns at great expense to himself, including a double mortgage, thinks the warlock is in the middle of a great spell. He's really just a little freak. As their invariable final act, the heads always grow wings and fly straight into the electric transformer. Why are you freely constructing their nest in your mind? You are not touching the ground. Okay. The next two poems I'm going to do are from, there's like a two-part suite of poems in the book that all the poems take their titles from sayings that like have the word gun in them. I just was finding it really interesting as I was trying to find, I set the factory setting on in my mind. I was just trying to find sayings to then turn into poems. Uh, I was finding all these gun sayings, and I found it really interesting and kind of alarming that like our language has so many I don't know, shoot from the hip sayings. So decided to make, we just kind of carried on from there, like a ball like falling out of my hand. I was just chasing it, of all these poems. So some of them were cut from the book or cut from the draft that Kevin even saw. But yeah, so there's two suites, and kind of the introductory poem to these suites is setting up that this is a family of inanimate objects. There's a father, a mother, and they're all like just random objects that sort of have feelings, sort of don't. So this one's called Son of a Gun, which the sun is the only thing that is not actually an object. And I just kind of happened. Son of a Gun. The gun was married to a tractor wheel. The tractor wheel's parents were a snowball and a mink coat. The third cousin was a fishing rod. The other in-laws were two moving parts. The niece was a pinball machine. The son said this family has no business being together. Then he split. There's another one of those gun poems. It's called Jumped the Gun. The son of a gun robbed his father at knife point. When he dug through the wallet, he discovered a picture of himself. These are the situations you find yourself in when you have been raised by a gun. Yeah. The next poem I'm going to read is not in that gun suite. This poem actually, I basically wrote for Ben. I was saying that Ben and Evan and I have like a group chat going. We're all pals, and so we share ideas all the time. We've got like a little hive mind going, and one day Ben put like a really good idea in in like our chat, and I was like, "Oh fuck you, dude! That's like such a great idea." And then I wrote this poem as like a nice poem that's kind of like also fuck you for being so smart. Yeah, so this one's called Sworn Enemies. Today, your sworn friend had a good idea. That made you sworn enemies. He said that thing that was so smart. What an asshole. At noon, you will strike each other with twin marsh herons. The birds will be stiff and dead. You will wield them by the yellow legs. The loser will leave forever. You wish you were kidding. Tomorrow, you will start your second life, grow a mustache, wear an aloha shirt. You wish this was a joke. That's that one. That's Ben's poem, which I regrettably, when we printed, I forgot to say for Ben, but it's your poem, Ben. If you, in your copy of Easy Tiger, Ben, you'd want to write for me, you can do that under there. This next poem's called Emu Night, and that's night with a K. Our emu fell over dead. I went to heaven. Then he miraculously returned to life on Earth. We put him on all the late night talk shows after the fact. We made him the spokesperson for Orangina. We knighted him on national radio. Amazing place, this Earth, the way it makes you stay holding on to it with no hands. Yeah. Am I doing okay on time, Ben?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool.
It's your night. Take your time.
We'll be here forever. Um, this next poem is a short poem. It's called Sand Sore Soon. And my friend's mom had like twisted her ankle, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's horrible." Just texting her, and I was like, I just naturally wrote for whatever reason because I don't know, an attention whore or something. I wrote I hope she's saying soon because I thought it was funny, and then I was like, oh, that's the title. So it really is just like a feedback loop of some weird garbage in my head. But yeah, this is called Sandstorm Soon. Hit by the Pope Mobile, you will be Sandstorm soon. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a funny idea that a car crash could heal you. Um, what's next? This one's called Longest Sausage. We pull over to look at the world's longest sausage. The sign says it originally started as a roadside attraction. At the world's longest sausage, people are lined up forming the world's longest line, bearing the sausage on their shoulders. Whenever you are hungry, you take a small bite from a different place. Forget the car, which is now a grassy hill with a bison on the hood. When we step into line, we are naturally ordered. We meet our neighbors, smile at stray dogs, sleep standing up. And I think I'm getting close to the end here. One of the last things I wanted to read. These aren't the last things I'm reading, but some of the last things I'm reading are these poems. I've been calling them actually poems, and they're super, short poems where the turn is on the word actually, or yeah, and they just kind of play with title and poem. And so I put a bunch in a row in the book towards the end here. This one's called Night in an Old-Fashioned Book. I'm actually very apprehensive about getting on the horse. This is eaten by a tiger. I'm actually really enjoying getting acquainted on a personal level. The sharks smell blood. I'm actually not the chum. I am the captain's beautiful son. This is Merlin. I'm actually not presently a wizard. I am the fly presently flying into your mouth. I think the last poem I'll read, it's called Holding the Egret. And yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I'll just read it. Holding the egret. Hold it close to your chest. You are holding the egret. There you go. You are washing the egret. Wash the egret with a bar of soap. Feed the egret. There you go. You are feeding the egret. He is good. Fit this poem into your mouth. Use this poem like soap. Thank you so much.
Unmuting and clapping. So good, Evan. Yeah, thank you so much for closing us out, having this great virtual launch. Get Evan's book right now. I put the links in the chat. Thank you to all of our readers and to all of you for tuning in tonight, for taking an hour out of your busy lives to spend some time with poetry to help launch a great book out into the world. I'm holding it up here for the YouTube. I like to close all of my readings with a cento featuring one line from each of the featured readers. So here is one final 5-line poem to close us out with one line from all 5 of our readers. See if you can guess who wrote what. Easy Tiger Cento. The night of 1,000 murders, I began drinking all the rain I could catch. A small antenna sprouted in that place. Then some deer started crying, and all the humans started crying too. You try not to grow so attached, but after all, you do. Thanks again, everyone. Take care and have a great night. Get Evan's book. Get it right now.